of the Schertz-Cibolo-Universal City Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is 6:02. Priscilla, roll call.
All board members are present.
Thank you. We're going to start with the recognition of our student representatives that are going to be leading the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Gibson.
Thank you, President Dreisbach. Tonight we're honored to have a 4th grader, Destin Gray from Rose Garden, and 8th grader, 7th grader? 8th grader, Sean Toner from Corbett Junior High. Ms. Ward and Mr. Ray are here to further introduce them. Welcome.
Good evening, members of the board, President Westbrook and Superintendent Dr. Gibson.
President Dreisbach.
Oh,
We had an election.
Hey,
Let me do this real quick.
Madam President,
Yeah,
it is such an honor to be with tonight. I'm sorry, Ms. Dreisbach.
Oh, you're absolutely
What an
fine.
honor. I'm Cindy Ward, I'm the principal at Rose Garden Elementary, and I would like to introduce to you Destin Gray, a student in 4th grade at Rose Garden. He's an exceptional math student. He's also serving on the Rose Garden Principal Advisory Team this year, and Destin plays a lot of football and likes to run. He exemplifies the trait of a graduate, and I picked future ready because he's always open to learning and he thinks critically to overcome challenges while always staying positive. His favorite subject is math, and he enjoys in his free time reading books. He's joined tonight by his parents, Reba and Damian Gray, and his 3 amazing brothers. Parents, please stand and be recognized.
Good evening, board members, President Amy Dreisbach, and Superintendent Dr. Gibson. I am Rashad Ray, principal at Corbett Junior High. I would like to introduce to you my student, Sean Toner, who's in 8th grade. He's an exceptional student, following character, using great judgment, excellent student in academics. One thing that he exemplifies for traits of a graduate will be a skilled motivator. He had some challenges in his life that he has to overcome this year, and I think with that he's been working hard to just create a new image for himself and step into that challenge every day that he walks through our doors and also take it home with him in his community. He's joined by his parents. His mom is not here, but his cousin Josh is here to represent him and his family. So just, if you can give him a round of applause, guys, and recognize Sean.
Thank you both so much for coming. I just want to welcome all of you to our December board meeting tonight. There's been a little reshuffling of where everyone sits up here. We've had a few board meetings since probably the public has been here. We've had quite a few called board meetings. Some of you already know that we were here last week and named a candidate of choice for our future superintendent, since Dr. Gibson will be retiring in the spring. And so Mr. Westbrook has shifted down a few rows, and Mr. Perkins is beside me as vice president. We have Mr. Finley as secretary, and Letitia Seaver for our assistant secretary. So we just thank all of you for coming tonight. And we're going to move on to our vice president's recitation of district mission, vision, values, and priorities.
Our motto, SCUC, a district with passion and purpose. Our mission, SCUCISD, a diverse community founded in trust and transparency, commits to empower all students to fulfill lifelong potential through inspiring learning experiences. Vision: inspire, innovate, excel. Our values are leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning. Priority 1, all graduates will be college and/or career and/or military ready. Priority 2, high-performing and engaged workforce. Priority 3, highly satisfied students, parents, and community. Priority 4, efficient district and campus operations.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Now we're going to go with the board recitation of the district belief statements.
We believe all students have the capacity to learn and excel. We believe a safe, secure, and supportive environment is paramount to learning.
We believe in living our core values of leadership, character, commitment, service, and learning. And we believe engaging in interactive and authentic teaching creates empowered, inspired learners prepared for our changing world.
We believe technology is a relevant tool that enhances learning in and beyond the classroom. We believe in a professional learning community that fosters collaboration for continuous improvement.
We believe transparent, clear, and timely communication among all is critical to success. We believe measures of success go beyond standardized testing.
And we believe that public education is defined by the local community with limited state involvement.
Thank you. We also like to highlight each month some of our good governance, our board member ethics, and Vice President Mr. Perkins is going to go over those.
Tonight, we'd like to reference the board ethics of honor in conduct. I will tell the truth. I will share my views while working for consensus. I will respect the majority decision as the decision of the board. I will base my decisions on fact rather than supposition, opinion, or public faith.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Now we'd like to recognize our student representatives for the month of December. Dr. Gibson?
Thank you, President Drasback. Beginning in 1987, SCUC, as part of its regular board meeting, started honoring Student of the Month. And in continuation of that great tradition, tonight we're honored to have Isaiah Aguilar, a 12th grader at Clemens High School, and Joshua Watkins, a 12th grader at Steele High School, here to join us as our student representatives of the month. And gentlemen, as you make your way down to the dais, the podium to meet your, let me say it better, y'all head on down to the podium. I'm going to give Joshua a little bit of cover for a quick departure tonight as he's heading down. He is part of the PALS program who is helping with Golden Santa at Watson Wiederstein, and he didn't want to miss it. We said he didn't have to miss it. And you were selected to be here tonight because of that kind of behavior. And so go help those elementary kids, and we'll let you cut out. But do not leave until after you have taken the appropriate photo of this event, or I will be in a lot of trouble, Josh. You got to help me on that. But we'll now have the campus administrators further introduce our two guests tonight. And welcome.
Good evening, President Dreisbeck, Dr. Gibson, and members of the board. I'm Mark Harris, Assistant Principal at Clemens High School. I am very proud to introduce the student representative from Clemens High School for this month, Isaiah Aguilar. He is joined tonight by his parents, Miss Amanda Aguilar, Mr. Byron Johnson, and his grandfather, Mr. Aguilar, and his brother, Ian. Would y'all please stand and be recognized? Miss Aguilar works as an art teacher at Clemens and blows glass and paints in her spare time. Mr. Johnson serves in the Army and works as a coach at Veterans Memorial High School. Isaiah's brother Ian is a 4th grader at Pasco Elementary, and we're very happy to have him with us tonight. Isaiah Aguilar is a senior at Clemens High School, involved in a wide range of activities including football, swim, band, track, DECA, NHS, and FCA. Isaiah serves as president of DECA, and he and his teammates competed in the Independent Business Plan event in Orlando, Florida, his junior year last year, the International Career Development Conference. All right, Isaiah lettered in the sophomore year in swimming after advancing to regional finals in the 200 free relay. He swims the 100 free, 100 breast, 50 free, and a 200 free relay. Isaiah also plays defensive end for Santa Clone's football team, throws shot put and discus, and plays the French horn as he approaches his 9th year in band. Isaiah lettered as a junior in football, band, and track, and will do so again as a senior. Isaiah has had great success in the classroom as well. He is a member of the National Honor Society, qualified for automatic acceptance to his first choice college, Texas Tech. Can't be perfect. I was hoping for him, but okay. We'll accept that. Text break. Where he plans to major in business management and seek a minor in sports marketing and hope to follow a career in sports entertainment and management. Isaiah also understands the importance of volunteering in his community and has accumulated hundreds of volunteer hours over his high school career. He has worked with organizations like Knights of Columbus, NHS, FCA, DECA, and the City of Schertz. He's also here joined by his teacher sponsor, Ms. Lounger. Please stand. And without further ado, here's Isaiah.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Dreisbeck, members of the board. My name is Isaiah Aguilar, and I'm a senior at St. Clemens High School and the president of DECA, a club that premieres emerging leaders and entrepreneurs in marketing, finance, hospitality, and management in high schools and colleges around the globe. Through my 4 years at Clemens, I have been a swimmer, thrown shot put and discus, played French horn, and defensive end for the football team. The last 2 years of my high school career, I had the honor of joining NHS, made the great decision of joining the St. Clemens DECA chapter, and move on to the international level of competition. On top of these in-school activities, I remained active in my community outside of school, participating in many community service events, working on base at the commissary, participating in recreational sports teams, and somehow, among all the extracurricular activity and sleepless nights, I kept my grades high enough to get auto-accepted with Texas Tech to attend the Ross College of Business. The higher level of education and beginning of the next chapter of my life does not worry me. Through DECA and other activities I've participated in, I've gained skills that guide me through moments of adversity. Football taught me to push through struggles. Swim taught me to wake up and attack the day with a smile. Track taught me to keep calm under pressure. And band taught me to prepare for the future. But it wasn't until I joined DECA that I began to apply these lessons effectively. After my first year in DECA, I became the club president. And to become an effective leader, I look back onto my past experiences for guidance. Amazing lessons, interactions, and experiences with people I met during my high school career shaped me in the way I lead. My teachers, coaches, parents, and most importantly, my DECA advisors, James Pratt and Laura Lounger, have guided me onto a path I feel very proud of. The lessons they've taught me, not only pertaining to DECA, but life lessons to a kid preparing to step into a world quite different than anything I have faced before, have strengthened me.
Being thankful to my teachers and advisors is an understatement. I have cultivated amazing relationships with many SCUC staff members. And even though I can be a handful at times, they are invested in my and many others' success. I feel wholeheartedly that the great experience I had during my education has set me up for success in college and in life. Thank you all for your time and hard work and dedication as a SCUC staff member. I will always have a special place in my heart for the SCUC ISD family. Go Buffs, join DECA, and thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Dreisbeck, and members of the board. At this time, I would like to introduce an amazing young man, Mr. Joshua Watkins. Joshua is currently a senior at Steele High School. He's been in our district since 4th grade, where he attended Watts Elementary. During his 4 years at Steele, Joshua has been involved with the Steele community. He was a part of the boys basketball program for 3 years as the team manager. In this role, Joshua did all the behind-the-scenes work people don't see. He would get the floors ready for the game, get the uniforms ready, record the games, etc. You name it, he pretty much did it all. Being in the program, Joshua learned the principles of discipline, punctuality, and honesty. Most of all, he got to experience the joy of being a part of a team. His commitment to the team and the team's overall success led to a state tournament run during his junior year. This gave him a set of memories he still cherishes. Josh has always been grateful for the time he spent with the basketball program. While not And while not being a manager anymore, he is still involved and is still friends with many of the people he bonded with during his 3 years as a manager. Joshua is also a very active member of the PALS program and FCCLA for the past 2 years. He frequently participates in the community service events and has been recognized as a leader in the class. He was handpicked to promote the program at Dobie by speaking to their students about the program. Josh's peers and teachers describe him as having a very charismatic personality and also as someone whom they feel they can go to talk to and get well-sounded advice. After high school, Joshua plans on attending Texas A&M University at Corpus Christi to pursue a bachelor's degree in education. He then plans to follow his dreams to become a high school history teacher and basketball coach. Tonight, Joshua is represented by his mom, Salwa McBride. Please stand to be recognized. And also by his PALS sponsor, Miss Jana Mahoney. Please stand to be recognized. And now it is my pleasure and honor to introduce you to Mr. Joshua Watkins.
Good evening, Dr. Gibson, President Dreisbach, and members of the board. Before I start, I'd like to take some time to thank the panel for taking their time out of their day to come and listen to my speech, as I understand how valuable your time is. I'd also like to take a second to thank my classmates and Miss Mahoney, as if it weren't for their support, I wouldn't be able to come up to the podium today and truly express all the feelings that not only I have for the program, but also the emotions of the 80 other young, intelligent young men and women that have been a part of this program for the past 2 years feel as well. I prepared this speech about the organization I've been the most passionate about in the entirety of my whole high school career, and Practicum in Human Service, also known as PALS. I've been a part of PALS for 2 years now, and they've honestly been the most rewarding and fortunate of times I've ever had, not only at school, but in my life. It's been the class that inspires me to wake up every day and go to school in the morning, and even a class that I find myself thinking or talking about when I'm distant from Miss Mahoney's classroom and the schools we visit. My affection for the program is one that's only grown within my junior and senior years, and it's one that I'm sure I'll end up carrying for the rest of my life. The best way to understand exactly why I felt comfortable and excited about the opportunity to speak here in front of the board is to break down exactly what this class does for the students attending SCUCISD schools. PAL stands for Peer Assisted Leadership Skills, which means we act as a tutor towards the students we help at these sites. We leave to go to our schools Monday through Thursday, and every day we get on the bus with the same goal on our minds, to help educate those that need the one-on-one dialogue to learn and to serve as a mentor to look up to by being a helping hand the PALEs can always confide in and talk about anything with. The students in the PALS program are chosen in a myriad of ways, and it changes on a child-to-child basis. However, they're usually chosen based on the criteria of being a student that struggles with schoolwork or even just has problems making friends. Us as PALs then come into their lives and serve as a friend they know will always be there for them and someone they won't ever have to worry about being angry or upset with them. The work at times can be frustrating, but there's no better feeling in the world than going over a lesson with your PALE over and over again and finally being able to see them do the work on their own. It's almost like watching them grow up right in front of your eyes, and those moments always stay with you whenever they happen. Oftentimes, our influence can even be felt past our PALEs because after you take them back to the class enough times after doing work with them, playing games with them, or even just talking to them, you'll eventually grow a following from the classroom you pick your kids up from. This leads to the children's faces brightening up whenever you walk into their room with their classmates all trying to talk to you at the same time, and them tapping your child on the shoulder saying, "Josh is here, Josh is here." I vividly remember a time last year where I was scolded by a teacher because every time I would pick up my first grader, his whole class would swarm me with questions, jokes, hugs, and stories, and whatever they were learning about at the time would be completely derailed. So for the last 4 weeks of PALS, I had to knock on the door and wait for my PALE to come outside before he could get our work done. Looking back on it, it's probably the best thing I've ever been reprimanded for. The impact we have as PALs isn't just located at our schools, however. While the program only takes place for 2 hours of our school day, the influence of the class and our influence towards the community is felt even more when we're away from the classroom. This is because of the community service that's required to complete in order to stay in PALS, which includes a minimum of 5 hours every semester that is dedicated to service learning. While at first it may seem like a daunting task to find these 5 hours, Ms. Mahoney has always done a fantastic job at finding events for us to show up to before, after, and even during school that help us to achieve the goal. As Dr. Gibson acknowledged, I will be going to the Golden Santa event that's being held at Wiederstein later tonight. The connection she has as the Region 5 advisor for Steele's FCCLA, and her constant stream of communication with the schools in our area leads to us being blessed enough to always know where we can help out with in these public services. Examples of events we've helped orchestrate include Steele's Fall Festival, our annual daddy-daughter / mother-son dances, and the holiday-themed events we throw for our ALE and special education students on campus. The event, I think, truly encapsulates how much we've contributed towards our community is the orchard we contributed to during my junior year. In a garden at the end of Borgfield Road, we planted about 25 trees along with our friends in ALE, and together, we planted a forest that will not only provide fruit and shade for our children, but their children and many future generations of the inhabitants of Cibolo. Our contributions stand as a testament to the high quality of people that have taken part in the program and the amount of amazing work they'd helped create in the 2 years that they participated in it. As anyone can see, PALS has played an unparalleled role in shaping me into the man I am today. The bonds I've created into this class are ones I can tell will last a lifetime, as everyone's feelings towards each other can be described with one word: family. We all come into second period with the same attitude of friendliness and acceptance towards each other that only makes us stronger role models when we interact with our PALEs. The program has taught me many lessons as well, one being that a leader doesn't always have to be the one yelling instructions to command attention and admiration, and that one of the best ways to lead is through example, such as bringing a positive energy to a classroom or by being a stable and dependable figure people can ask questions or get advice from. When I graduate high school, I intend on going into the teaching field and plan on using the lessons that I've learned in empathy to further connect and relate to my further students in a way that most educators won't be able to. Without this class, I believe I'd be lacking in the principles of leadership, communication, respect, and quality of work. Being a part of this program has made me excel in all these qualities, and for that, I'm forever grateful. Thank you for listening to me, panel. I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Need a photo? Okay. Isaiah, you too.
Thank you both for being here. Now we're going to move on to the recognition of our students of the month, our students' achievements and, principal representatives. Our recognition of the following principal representatives for the month of December, Ms. Goldhorn.
Okay. Good evening, members of the board, President Dreisbach, and Superintendent Dr. Gibson. As Director of Elementary Education Services, I would like to introduce our elementary principal who's attending this month's board meeting. I would like to introduce to you Cindy Ward, principal of Rose Garden Elementary. Cindy, if you'll please come forward. Cindy Ward has been in education for the past 25 years, and 9 years have been spent in SCUC. A fun fact about Cindy is that Cindy and her husband are super excited that they will be traveling to Israel for the winter holiday. Cindy Ward.
Good evening, members of the board, President Dreisbach and Superintendent Dr. Gibson. I would like to introduce our secondary principal who was attending this month's board meeting this evening. Rashad Ray is the principal at Corbett Junior High, and he had to go see a choir concert for his son. That's why he is not here anymore, but y'all met him earlier with the pledge. He served 15 years in education, 2 here in SCUC, and the fun fact about Mr. Ray is that he is into classic and vintage cars. So if you see him driving around town, you will know what I mean. Mr. Ray, who's not here.
Thank you, Dr. Limley. We totally understand that.
Dr. Limley, tell him there was a $1,000 bonus, but you had to be you had to be present to receive.
Now we will have our recognition of our student achievements with Dr. Limley and Ms. Gracia. No?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you again, President Dreisbach, Dr. Gibson, and members of the board. Tonight, we are here to recognize our SCUC students who have achieved outstanding distinction in fine arts and athletics. We applaud their commitment to dedication to perform in these areas and bring excellence to our district. Students, parents, and friends, thank you for joining us tonight for this chance to recognize our student excellence. And to those being honored tonight, congratulations on your accomplishments and best of luck in your bright future. The following students were recognized as members of the 2019-2020 Academic All-State Team. The Academic All-State Teams recognize high school athletes who excel in the following areas: GPA, class rank, ACT, SAT scores. We applaud them for their commitment and dedication to perform in the highest of excellence in academically and on the field or court. Leading us off tonight is from Clemens, Academic All-State Cross Country Texas Girls Coaches Association player, Alexandra Rudd. Alexandra.
How far is cross country? Is that a 5K or? It's a 5K? All right.
I'll get a picture of that. There you go. Come on up. You can come on up. Come on. Okay, for volleyball, the Texas Girls Coaches Association and or Texas High School Coaches Association, we have Ashley Brew, Elizabeth Hill, Shelby O'Neill, Cassidy Stedman, and Riley Thomas. Here, come on up. And now from Steele High School, our academic all-state, cross country, Texas Girls Coaches Association and or Texas High School Coaches Association, we have Ferdinand Agel, Cassandra Sear, Haley Hammock, and Lily Morell. We have one more. I apologize. Christopher Anderson. Come on up, Christopher. Good job, you guys. Thank you. I apologize again. All right, the following students were recognized for their individual athletic excellence at the state or national level. From Clemens in volleyball, we have Elizabeth Hill. Elizabeth was named to the Texas Girls Coaches Association All-State Team. Up, Elizabeth. Very nice, congratulations. Next, we have Shelby O'Neill. Shelby was named to the Texas Girls Coaches Association All-State and Legacy Teams, which was named to the Under Armour All-American Honorable Mention Team and was named to the 5-6A Volleyball Player of the Year. And next we have Cassidy Stedman. Cassidy was named to the Texas Girls Coaches Association All-State Team as well. Come on. From Steele High School in cross country, we have Beckett Moser. Beckett was named to a Texas Girls Coaches Association All-Star. Come on up, Beckett. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this year, the 2019 Samuel Clemens Buffaloes volleyball team completed their season as Texas 6A state semifinalist, advancing to the state tournament in Garland to face the eventual state champion, Byron Nelson. The Buffs finished 44-5 on the year and were undefeated in 26 6A district play. Clemens had playoff victories over Hayes, Reagan, Lake Travis, McAllen, and Clark High Schools. They earned their right to the first state tournament appearance in program history. The 2019 Clemens volleyball team is also the first volleyball team to advance to a state tournament in the history of SCUCISD, and only the second girls team to advance to a state tournament in the history of Clemens High School. The last appearance was in 1976, the girls Clemens basketball team. So the following students were part of the record-breaking season. So please come down when we announce your name. Taryn Ahin, Michelle Arnold, Mia Bartholomew, Ashley Brew, Canada Buchanan, Melinda Hackathorn, Elizabeth Hill, Emma Inselman, Brooke Lazarin, Chrisleen Moreno, Madison Mulkey, Shelby O'Neill, Danielle Stevenson Pino, Emma Ransom, Emily Smith, Cassidy Stedman, Kayla Teeler, Riley Thomas, and Bella Trevino. You want to? Oh yeah, this works. Ready? 1, 2.
I'm not saying it. Well, the same Texas Girls Coaches Association that we've gotten some awards. So Shelby was the 5A, 6A Player of the Year. So that was huge. And then I was lucky enough to be awarded the Coach of the Year for 5 and 6A.
Congratulations, ladies. Great job. Great season. Great job.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to move on to fine arts. The Texas Thespian Festival was held November 21st through 23rd at Gaylord Texan Resort in Grapevine, Texas. Both Samuel Clemens and Byron P. Steele High School were well represented in the festival and have students that have qualified for the National Festival in Indiana. The following Clemens students were named national qualifiers for group acting: Emily Trevino, Devin Bosch, and Olivia Jonas. Come on down. The following Clemens student was named as a national qualifier for costume design, and that was Devin Rowe. The following Steele High School students were named as national qualifiers for duet acting: Zachary Larkin and Seraphim Wright. All right, congratulations. Good job, guys. The following Steele students were named national qualifiers for duet musical and were also named to the Texas Thespians All-State Cast: Aspen Palmer and Lily Gordon. And the last but not least, the Steel Theater Program was awarded the opportunity to perform their fall musical Chicago as a festival main stage show. This is quite an accomplishment, as only a few schools statewide are given this opportunity every year. Congratulations to the following Steel students who made up the cast of Chicago: Lily Gordon, Isaac Leon, Zachary Larkin, Jordan Parks, Brooklyn Moore, Sarah Swink, Nadia Mayers, Brittany Wilson Jackson, Caitlin Sample, Jillian Graver, Rebecca Andrews, Nate Glatt, Ethan Bowman, Gavin Leone, Alina A.E. Bell, Allie Crimson, Jataya Mayo, Kaya Mitchell, Kieran Sprout, Aaron Jennings, Mark Beach, Seraphim Wright, John Knoll, and Oliver Eggleston. That's it.
Okay, a few steps back to the dais. Tall in the front, less tall in the back, in the front. Move over a little bit, center it, please. Okay, I need the less tall in the front, please. There you go. Perfect. 1, 2. Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
Good job, you guys. That's awesome.
Thank you
That
to
concludes
all
our
the
portion.
students who attended. We love seeing your accomplishments and honoring you guys. So proud of everyone. We're next going to move to public comments. Dee Dee, Priscilla, no public comments? Okay. Our next agenda item is our superintendent's update and report by Dr. Gibson.
Thank you, President Dreisbeck. And the structure for tonight, we started a little bit revised, and don't be alarmed by the packet that's coming your way, because it's, as was the case last month, it's more about just giving you the resource, letting you take it with you, take your time to review through it at your leisure, and then just see if you have any questions or if you need any follow-up comments during the month. That whole packet is clipped together. I'm going to do this in 1 minute. What you have in the front is priority 2. The format is the same on priority 2, 3, and 4. And if you want to, when I look at priority, our strategic plan and priority 1, that's our student and academic achievement. That's so we get really granular with data on different metrics that we're watching along the way, and then summative metrics at the end. Priority 2, 3, and 4 are based primarily on perception surveys. And as we've tried to learn over the last few years, it's really about listening, but it's mainly about learning, because you can just send out a survey and you can say, check mark, I've listened, but it's what you really do with the information that's important. So what we're giving you here is a lot more information than you probably need, but it's actually the same thing over and over and over again by department and by campus. Priority 2 is staff satisfaction. So everybody that's listed out here was participated in our Intergage Staff Satisfaction Survey. You see the top strengths that were listed, the top opportunities for improvement, and then you see the comment themes, and then the feedback groups, and then ultimately culminating in action. the staff members created that far right-hand column. That was their idea to break that into 3: stop, start, and continue. So based on the feedback from this last cycle of listening, these are some things I'm going to start. This is something that needs to stop. And these are some things that I need to continue. And so that format is for staff satisfaction, priority 2, and then priority 3, parent satisfaction, which Dr. Limley and Ms. Goldhorn work with the principals and facilitate that process, and they do that. And this basically is culminating the fall semester's work. And then priority 3 is the student survey also. So you have priority 3 parent survey and then priority 3 student survey. You'll see the summary of those. And then priority 4 is the district services survey, and that's primarily cabinet members. So you won't see a lot of, or any campus members in the priority 4. That's the people sitting out in front of us, their survey of the campus administration on the survey services that they deliver for our staff members. So anyway, again, we're not going to go through all that. It's just given to you to take with you, and at your leisure, take your time going through it, and then just see if any questions emerge throughout the month that we'd be happy to address in the future. Yes, sir.
Yep, so how should questions, you want questions to be sent to you and the president? Like if we have questions about these?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So for the stop, it says, what should we stop? And I saw some very good comments about what should we stop, but are those the ones that were actually stopped, or those were just suggestions for actions that probably people sort of said, we probably need to stop it? You see what I'm saying? So one of them was like requiring people to attend irrelevant meetings. How do you, you know what I'm saying? How do you respond to that? How do you stop, I think another one was using frontline personnel as problem solvers. So these are suggestions, but
yeah, and I think and y'all can correct me, but if it's listed as a stop, the feedback was saying that that's what we're saying to you that probably needs to stop. People could say, stop making us work 187 days, and we can't do. So there's some things that we can't do, but this is their recommendation.
Yeah. Okay.
To answer your question.
All right, so maybe I should say it this way. How many out of the starts, stops, and continues, how many were actually done?
I think that's a really good question for moving forward, that's to measure the efficacy, because all you have here, the step that we're at here is that it's just a summary of the perception.
Exactly.
Right. So then to follow through on tracking those, I think would be what we would do in the spring semester. So I think that's a really good point.
Thank you.
I have a real quick question. On these, do we have numbers that participated? Is the percentage?
We do, they're not on here, but we do
Okay, no, I'm just
have-
wondering, was it 2%? Was it?
We generally tried to get over 10% was a threshold that we were trying to hit on all surveys. I don't know that we hit it in every case. If that's something that you're interested in the left-hand column, we could include the percent result.
So I know with the parents, that's a little bit harder, but I'm wondering with the engaged workforce, do
We had
all
a
of them?
78%, I believe.
Okay,
It's around 70% participate.
70, okay.
Mhm.
okay.
Which is high compared to
That's actually high for a staff engagement survey to
Right.
get that many results back.
I agree.
And on student survey, going off that numbers wise, they have to take it, don't they? Certain grade levels?
Well, they offer it
They offer
in
it.
class.
For them to
They
do if they, yeah.
Yeah, so while they're in class, which helps.
Yeah.
And we can provide that information as well on how many students participated. There's specific grade levels that participate: fourth grade at the elementary, sixth grade at the intermediate, and for secondary, we have eighth grade, 8, 10, and 12 of the grades that took the survey.
Do we ever take any of this survey information that comes out really good and use it, to advertise? Do you know what I'm saying? Just to get that out there and let everyone else know.
No.
Market?
Yes and no, but maybe not as strongly. I think if I understand what you're saying, I think that's a really good idea. That probably a next step for us is to make sure that we're communicating, we're a listening organization.
I think we have all this data, and we've talked about, have people tell our story. I mean,
Right.
we've got to give that information and the good stuff that's in here. I'm just wondering, do we share that? Do we do that? Take that data and
Well,
then,
there's a banner on the front of this building that says Top Workplace San Antonio, so I hate to say no when you've got a banner hung up for 4 or 5 years in a row, so, which is based on this survey. But I think there's always room for more telling our story, and I actually, Ms. Dreisbeck and I were talking either today or earlier this week. I mean, public education in general is becoming and will continue to become more competitive. And I think that may be what you're getting at. We've got to take things like this and we've got to make sure we tell our story.
Yeah, I think to that point, I think I was speaking to a Northside Independent School District trustee who said that they had recently hired a marketing director or marketing person. This is going to become more and more like trying to acquire market share.
Yep.
Rather than just a school business. This is going to be like a corporation, and we're one of the largest corporations in Guadalupe and probably need a marketing expert.
Dr. Gibson, one thing we are doing is marketing the district through our videos. We're going to have 4 this year, and one of them will be specific to staff.
The staff
The
satisfaction
staffing,
engagement.
right. And so that will be used as a marketing tool for us.
I hadn't thought about pulling themes from this data.
Right.
Might be a good part of the script. That might be a good part of the script. So it'll be like the one that you saw earlier in the year. We're about to start one that's 2 or 3 minutes long, I believe, on staff satisfaction as part of the marketing.
okay, thanks.
You want the next? And then last month, there was a follow-up question from Mr. Pivito on priority 1, and I think Dr. Edwards is prepared to kick that off. And he just kicked it off to Dr. Limley. So any doctor will do. Somebody get up there. All right. Dr. Limley's going to follow up, Mr. Pivito, on your question from priority 1. All right, good evening again, President Dreisbeck, Dr. Gibson, members of the board. And so tonight we have the SCUC Advanced Program Overview. And as you guys know, the goal of Advanced Academics is not only to provide students with an appropriately challenging academic arena, but also to provide them with the opportunity to earn some college credit hours while still in high school. And so tonight I do have a short PowerPoint. You ready? Okay, so go ahead and get it started. This slide just kind of explains our advanced academic options for those programs. And you can see that we have 4 advanced academic programs to offer. Advanced placement from the College Board, dual credit, which is our partnership with Alamo Colleges, dual enrollment, which is our partnership with UT through the on-ramps program, and then our International Baccalaureate diploma program, that's IB, over at Clements High School. So advanced placement, and this is just kind of the format that we're going to use to explain each one of our advanced academic programs. The overview is basically, it's a nationally recognized program. College level courses and exams are given to the students on the high school campus, taught by a high school teacher. The curriculum is governed by the College Board. It's a national program. They give us guidance. They approve all the syllabi that are presented by the teachers. And then they also organize the curriculum and the tests that the students can take to get that college credit. In order to teach AP, you must be trained. They've got a 3-year window that they have to be trained in. Every 3 years, they'll get trained by the College Board. And then in order to get a college credit by taking IB, you have to take a test at the end of the course, and you score a 3, 4, or 5 on that exam, 5 being the highest. And then you're eligible to get that college credit when you go on to a university here in America, basically. For dual credit, that is where we are partnered with Alamo Colleges. All of our dual credit courses are through Northeast Lakeview College, with the exception of our culinary arts program, which is in a partnership with St. Philip's. The colleges dictate and govern our curriculum in those courses. The teachers are high school teachers on our campuses. They coordinate with the department chairs from those departments. And then they have to have special credentials in order to teach because they are actually employees of the college while they're teaching these courses. And in order to do that, they've got to have a master's degree. And within that master's degree, they have to have 18 graduate hours in that discipline. So if I wanted to teach, dual credit biology, then I need to have a master's degree and I have to have 18 hours in master's level biology courses in order to do so. And then in order to obtain college credit through dual credit is you have to pass the class. And so they get a grade in the college side, they get a grade on the high school side, and that will get them their college credit through Northeast Lakeview College. The dual enrollment is similar, but it's different because it's dual enrollment. It's state and nationally recognized. It's through UT Austin. The UT Austin dictates our curriculum. It actually has a real live actual UT college professor teaching the course via an online method. It's the same exact course that UT students take. It is being facilitated and taught by a high school teacher on our campus as well. So there's 2 teachers in the course. In order for the high school teacher to be teaching the class, they have to go through 80 plus hours of training with UT in order to initially teach the class, and then 40 hours every year after that to maintain their training and to maintain their expertise in that area with UT. In order to get the college credit from UT on-ramps, they have to have at least a D in the course by semester in order to stay in the course. And then they have to have at least a D overall by the end of the year in order to get that college credit from UT. And then the difference between on-ramps and traditional dual credit is that they have the option of accepting that credit or not. At the end of the year, they can choose to say, you know what, I don't want that on my transcript, I don't want it. Or they can say, absolutely, give me that. And now they have a UT transcript that they can take to anywhere else in the country and show that they have credit from the University of Texas. Okay. And then we have our International Baccalaureate program. This is run by the International Baccalaureate. It's an internationally recognized program. They kind of dictate our curriculum. They are very hands-on as far as the resources and the tests that students can take for college credit. Teachers must be trained similarly to AP. They must be trained in the IB program organizations, and they have to renew that training anytime that there's a change in the curriculum or the test. In order to get the college credit, they must score a 4, 5, 6, or 7, 7 being the highest on the IB exam. And then all of our students are in the DP program, which is the diploma program for IB. And once they get that program, they are guaranteed 24 points or 24 hours when they go to university. So that's kind of an overview of the 4 different areas that we offer advanced academics. Now we're going to get down to some data about those programs. These are this little 4-year trend of enrollment that you can see in advanced placement. We have 28 AP courses to offer. And you can see we've gone from 1,030, had a little dip in 17 to 1,008. Then we came back 1,194 and then 1,062. So it looks as though we're hanging around 1,000 or 1,100 students in our AP courses. Dual credit, we offer 11 dual credit courses. You can see that the program has grown drastically over the past 4 years from 373 all the way over to 557. Dual enrollment, UT on-ramps has only been around for 2 years. Last year we had 168 students in it. This year we have 194. And we only have 2 courses that are offered. That is physics and pre-cal. And those actually coincidentally are areas in which we can't find a qualified high school teacher to teach the dual credit piece. So we're going through the on-ramps to satisfy that way. And then our International Baccalaureate, we've gone from 44, 49, 57, and then back to 46 with 20 course offerings. That's our enrollment trends. And then this is an interesting slide, the number of college credit hours earned. Look at how many hours our students are earning in our high schools. You can see advanced placement, we stay around the 3,000 mark. Dual credit, we've gone from 3,000 to almost 5,400. Dual enrollment, last year we earned 588 credits. And then the International Baccalaureate, we go from 553 to 709 this year. And then last but not least, there was supposed to be another slide on here. Last but not least, the program cost to the student. There was a question about cost. $90 for an AP exam. Dual credit and dual enrollment do not cost the student or family anything. And then the International Baccalaureate exams are $119 for the students if they opt to take those exams. At this time, I'd entertain any questions.
I do real quick. Can you go back to the slide where it showed the number of hours?
Yes, ma'am.
Right there. So for dual enrollment, we had kids accept 588 hours worth of between dual enrollment on UT on-ramps, physics and?
Yes, ma'am. Physics and pre-cal, those two courses we taught last year, and that was just last year, we earned 588 hours.
And those kids accepted those hours?
They were eligible for those hours. Some did not choose to accept the hours.
Okay.
What were you, I thought, Dr. Lemley, you said that we didn't have a teacher for the dual enrollment courses, or?
We don't have a teacher who is with a master's degree with the 18 plus hours in their master's degree in those areas. It's hard to find a master's degree math teacher who wants to teach high school math.
Yeah.
Most of those are theoreticians. They're off in the universities doing
Right. Yeah.
crazy things. So the on-ramps is a way for us to facilitate physics and pre-cal, still with the rigor, still with the fidelity. that the
Okay,
college
so the
courses
dual credit was the one you couldn't find the teacher for?
Dual credit, all of our dual credit classes are offered, we're taught by our high school teachers. We do have a
Okay.
couple of
Guess
classes
I'm
that
not
we facilitate
understanding.
through the.
So how are you offering a dual enrollment class if you don't have a teacher for that class?
That's the difference between dual enrollment and dual credit. Dual enrollment, it's being taught by a university professor.
Okay.
From the university side, and our highly trained, remember the teachers go through 80 hours of training with UT to learn how to teach that course alongside the college professor. So they actually get two different grades. They get a high school grade and they get a
Okay,
college grade.
so if
in
you
UT
don't have
on-ramps.
the high school teacher available, how does that work?
No, there is a high school teacher in there. It's just not a high school teacher with a master's degree and 18 plus hours. So they can't be the college professor. The college professor is from UT.
Okay, but still, they're still eligible for the grade on their high school. I mean, they're still eligible to get the grades for their high school, their hours for the high school and the college hours?
Yes, sir, because it's being taught by a college professor at UT. They get the college hours from UT, from that college professor.
Okay.
But with the dual enrollment, they do not necessarily have to accept the hours.
Correct.
And I think that's what I'm wanting to know is how many kids are actually, because I think from what I'm hearing from some parents is that the grades are really low and they don't want to accept those hours.
We could definitely check on that. We don't really have those numbers with us right now. I know that we have a pretty good amount of students who moved on into calculus from the dual credit pre-cal. So we know we have some students who.
At both schools?
I believe so.
Do we have
Yeah.
on-ramps at both schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because I hear only 6 went on to Clemens to take it.
At the beginning of the semester, we had many more than that.
There were 17,
Yeah,
but they were told they couldn't take it
right.
because they didn't
some of them
accept the
chose not
credit.
to. Yeah, some of them chose not to accept that credit, and so they didn't have the prerequisite for the college calculus.
So with the dual credit through Northeast Lakeview,
Yes, sir.
will those credits transfer to
Any state school.
in any state school?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. And we don't have any issues with finding the faculty for those classes?
No, sir. There are some, like there's an economics course that we have to facilitate through Northeast Lakeview, and it's an online situation.
Uh-huh.
And we do have one math course that we're having to facilitate through Northeast Lakeview as well.
I think on the facilitator part of it, though, I think it's important to let the parents know because we're hearing from parents that say, I had no idea that it was going to be a facilitator, and there's a difference between a facilitator and the actual teacher who's qualified to teach it.
Right. Even with the facilitator, we have a certified qualified teacher in the course to help facilitate the course. They just can't be the college teacher of record because they don't have the correct credentials.
Right, but there's not really that much interaction from what we hear from the parents as far as, so with it being online, especially with the calculus, that was a struggle right there where the kids are teaching themselves. And they had a really hard time getting a lot of the, or getting the professor to work with the students. And there was like, well, there was a facilitator, but the facilitator is not necessarily, is someone that the university signed off on, but that person admits that their math skills were not, they could not teach that class.
She's a certified math teacher, and she was not in line with the college professor because he was teaching from a different method that she was aware
Right.
of. And so we did have some bugs
I
in this
know, there
first
were some
semester.
bugs in it, and
It's-
and that's eventually gotten worked out. But I
Right.
mean, as
Yes,
far
ma'am.
as, I'm just saying that as far as having a facilitator in the class and it being online, I really do believe that's important to tell the parents. And I know that personally, like when I pulled my student out, because I did not know it was an online class, and I think that's important to let parents know so they can help their student decide whether they're ready for something like that.
Right, absolutely. That's a good point.
My concern, well, one of my concerns was that the cost that we're putting out for programs that we're not really seeing much, in results for, as far as the number of students that are able to participate or take advantage of the hours.
Mhm.
I mean, if they're not claiming the hours, then, I don't know. It's got to be costing the district something to have the on-ramps program. Yeah, I mean, you understand what I'm saying?
It is, and I'm going to jump in. There is a cost to the district on that, and part of the communication, it was the first year we had on-ramps last year, so we did get some feedback that although we went over some of that communication with the parents through the initial process, to come back and send additional communication and very, very transparent communication on, don't forget, if you want to accept those hours, you're going to need to submit that request. And that was part of it. And you're right, we had some that either chose not to, or that didn't realize or had forgotten that part of that step and part of that process was to request those hours from UT for that, Mr. Pipito. And so that's one of the things we'll beef up our communication, especially there towards the end, along with it, kind of the same thing with AP exams, sending out constant reminders of, don't forget, you need to sign up for I know there were several pieces of communication that went out for AP exams for students this year in the fall to be preparing and gearing up to sign up for those AP exams as well. AP could be the same situation. We have kids, we really encourage them, if they're going to take the AP course, to take the AP exam that goes along with that. We can't force them to do that, but we certainly want them to do that. If they're taking the course, we want them to be able to take advantage of that opportunity to obtain those college hours. As Dr. Limley said, the purpose of these courses is not to only provide students the coursework to graduate, but provide them an opportunity for that college credit while they're in high school. And so we will continue to encourage that and work on those communication processes as well to ensure that's not what is getting in the way of those students accepting those courses.
Well, I had a couple of concerns. One, of course, was what it's costing the student, what it's costing us, and how many students are actually taking advantage of it. And then also, do we have the faculty be able to provide these programs sufficiently and so that the student is getting what we're saying they're going to get and the parent is seeing the results of what we say they're going to get. And
and those are all good delineations. I think each of those, I think there's 4 things you just said. 3 of them have been addressed by Dr. Limley. The one that hasn't is not his to address. That's a budget consideration, and that would be your first budget workshop next year.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to what the cost is for us.
Well, no, you clarified my question. Are we talking about cost to the district or cost to the parent and student? And you said both. So he has the cost to the parent and student on the screen right now. The other one is a budget. That's not Dr. Limley's. That's a budget.
No, I understand.
Yeah, okay. That's all I'm saying. That's another conversation for a different group. I mean, y'all can be part of that group, but it's B. Pruski, I guess is what I'm saying. That'll be leading that conversation. Because I think that's talking about return on investment for the district. Is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, again, I want to make sure that we're doing what we say we're going to do, and that whether it's UT or Northeast Lakeview, that we're getting from them what they say they're going to give. So,
right.
I guess that's a two-way street.
I can say both institutions have been fabulous partners. Anytime we have a question, we have a concern, they come and they're here to help.
So when you, at the board workshop, I know that's about a month or 2 away. Can we get the same information that each requesting, like cost per student and or cost per credit hour earned? So you sort of get a from my perspective.
I think we can, we'll work with you, Ms. Dreisbeck, on probably using the data that we have to get the clearest, if the target is ROI or return on investment, then we'll try to provide data, and we'll go over it with the board president prior to that workshop so that the board can look at that question at the workshop.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Yeah, that's fine. And as far as the communication piece, didn't we roll out the app? Do we have a SCUCISD app?
Yeah, I'm gonna let them, Carla.
We have a mobile app. I don't want to digress too far, but is that mobile app to the extent used to inform people about it's a communication piece? Or is that app not used for that purpose, or it's used for something a little bit different?
Here we go.
Well, technology.
So it's, yeah, technology. Right now, it's being mostly used at the district level. It's new. We just rolled it out. So campuses are just now getting comfortable with it. And I believe as they do get comfortable with it, they will begin to utilize it more and more.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. President, I guess just one issue on the cost factor. You know, I assume for a lot of the students, the purpose is to not only get the credits, but also to save money on what they would be spending at the college level, right? And so you're saying these don't apply to the private colleges, just state schools, is that right?
The dual credit?
Or any of these?
Well, dual credit is all state schools.
Right.
AP and IB are national, so they would be national colleges. It would just depend on the college, whether they have a understanding of reciprocity between the university and the applying college.
Right.
And then the dual enrollment is a UT credit. So anywhere UT credit would be accepted, it would be accepted. So for example, if Baylor accepts a transfer from UT, they would accept those hours at Baylor.
I should know this, but does anybody know what the dollar cost is per hour at, say, UT or A&M nowadays?
$7
I know some
million.
people got some kids that go to school
I got
there.
one right there. Yeah. I know what my total payment is.
I'm sure.
I got one there.
It is.
Multiple people in this room have one there. So
any of these programs is a bargain. When
Right,
you're talking
okay.
about
So
getting those
that's
credits in
the-
high school versus going and paying for them at the college.
So there is an outlay on the front end, but comparatively speaking, it's still a pretty good deal, just dollar for dollar, in other words, right?
For families, yes,
Absolutely.
it is.
I do think all of them are a really good thing for us to have. I think what I really would want us to see is like a high quality product. And the reason I feel strongly about that is when I enrolled my son at Texas State last year, over the summer, when we went for his orientation, one of the things they noted was that the number of years that it took a student to graduate had dropped considerably. And they said that they talked about that being a considerable savings to a student. And so I think that's really important for us to look at where we can tighten some things up and make sure that we're offering the best we can to our students on those. I do like our programs, but I really want to make sure that we have quality programs for our students.
Absolutely. We've gone through, over the past couple of years, we've gone through some pretty stringent discussions about purposeful hours. We don't want you to leave here with 40 hours that you can't use when you go to university. The courses we offer now are core courses, so that when you go, you're taking some core courses with you so that they can count. You know, and we have situations where students go and they use every single hour they took here. Sometimes they go and they decided to change their major when they get there. And so some of the courses they took here, maybe they don't apply, maybe they have to use them as an elective. And so they've used up some of their elective hours. But that's our goal. And that's what our counselors do with our students when they speak with them about their 4-year plan is, okay, you're going to take these courses. What's your major going to be? Where are you going to go? Here are the hours that are going to count.
Right. Thank you.
any other comments?
I've just got one question. We're talking about return on investment. I'm not exactly sure what metrics you can use with as many moving parts to this puzzle as there are and quantify a return on investment. I'm just kind of curious what metrics you're going to use to be able to get there.
We're going to leave the whether it is determined to be a good investment or not up to the board. We're just going to show you how many students are involved and what the costs are.
Okay.
We're not going to qualify that. That's
Yeah,
going to be up to the board to draw a conclusion.
Okay.
I'll say that right now.
Okay. I was going to say, because I was going to go ahead and return on investment. How would anybody be able to quantify something as large as this with as many students, with many courses, as many colleges you have? And then in each individual circumstance, that would be, I can't even imagine how big of a puzzle that would be.
We will pull existing data and not create data and just slice it in a way that lets you look at it and draw whatever conclusions you want to.
Okay, thank you.
Well, to that extent, then you would, when you're trying to determine with the president, the return on investment, I would think you would also have some comparison data with other districts as far as price per student, price per, whatever. You're going to have the current, what our current cost is per student and per credit hour, right? Trending data, right? And then some comparison data to other districts. So that way we can all make an informed decision. But if you just take a snapshot of just what it is this year, what do we judge it against? Going back to, Finley's, maybe some programs might need to be increased, some might need to be decreased, but you're going to have a comparison, and all of that data has to be presented.
Yeah,
in a reasonable
and
manner.
Dr. Limley showed trends tonight. He showed 4-year trends on all of the data. So I'm assuming we would associate costs with that. And then we would have to just see if comparison data is available with other like districts or aspirational districts.
Anyone else? I was actually going to ask how much it costs the district. I was just going to ask that for a board report, so I'm glad we'll discuss that. And then the only other question I had was, our taper report is lagging data, so, it'll go back. But on our taper report, does it include on that advanced academics all 4 of those? Is it, when we look at that?
The,
Sure.
I can answer that. So with the advanced placement, it does, it does count advanced placement if they get a 3 or better. With IB, it does count 4 or better. And with dual credit, thank you. With dual credit, it counts it if, of course, they've met the TSI equivalent, TSI,
Okay.
SAT, or ACT.
Okay. Because then the dual enrollment kids would have qualified for that because they're under the TSI as well.
Actually, that's new. And so if, for accountability's
Mhm.
purposes, if a student completes any dual enrollment on-ramps course, we qualify.
Okay.
With the dual credit, they have to actually get 3 hours in either math or English, or 9 hours in any other area.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gracia.
but you're right, that won't, the dual enrollment will not show up on this year's TAPR report because
No.
last year was the first year. You're correct
Right.
about that.
Because it's lagging. It'll be
Right.
the next year,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Limley. We appreciate that. All right.
Thank
Our
you.
last one. Oh, update 114.
Yeah, so with policy committee and later on the agenda in consent, Mr. Is our TASB update 114. Mr. Finley and Mr. Pivito and our community representative met with senior leaders a few days ago. I don't remember when, but I think it's last Tuesday. And Mr. Finley asked that I distribute to the trustees this chart. And we're not going through it, but the point I think was that whereas it's kind of interesting, update 114, when we got the local decisions, Dee Dee and I just kind of looked at it and went, that's it. I mean, but it turns out that most of it was legal, which means there's just a lot of work on staff, which that's Mr. Finley the other night was noting that in our follow-up chart. And so, Ms. Drasbeck, I hadn't had a chance to debrief. Y'all been busy with lots of other meetings and been really busy. But Mr. Finley had just asked, and similar to what Mr. Westbrook asked earlier, that we track these final steps over the next few months and just keep them on the superintendent's report. And then as each one of these are completed, then we'll highlight them green or, something, or put a check mark in them to indicate that we've finished that step, because it's literally going to be we know it's going to be April before we can finish 1 or 2 of them, because Ms. Gracia is waiting for some information that we won't get until next April. So we'll just keep tracking that 114 and bringing it back to the board. Priscilla, I think maybe one time a month we'll put it in the board update, a week prior maybe to the board meeting. Does that sound? And that way you can look at it, and then if you had any questions on anything, we can ask it at the board meeting.
Perfect.
That's it for that. And then later, the policy committee, if I might say, is going to accept all of TASB's recommendations after we went through all of that. So it's on consent agenda. Is that good? Mr. Pivito, we're good? Okay. And thank you all for participating in that wonderful Tuesday evening meeting of policy.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Dr. Gibson.
Yes.
Any correspondence? Nope. All right. Next up is our public hearing presentation of the 2018-2019 fiscal audit presented by Mr. Pruski.
Yes, thank you, President Dreisbach, Dr. Gibson, members of the board. Tonight, the district will have a presentation of the 2018-2019 fiscal audit. The school district audit must be approved by the Board of Trustees and submitted to Texas Education Agency by January 31st, 2020. Tonight, we have Angela Verduzco, CPA and audit supervisor from Patillo, Brown and Hill LLP, and she will present the fiscal audit for this evening.
Thank you.
All right. Thank y'all for having me. My name is Sandra Verduzco. I'm a supervisor at Patillo, Brown and Hill. We came out here during the summer for a week of planning, and during that time, we take a look at controls and like the processes in place, and we do that each year. This year, we spent 3 weeks out here for the audit, and during that time, we take a look at source documents to ensure that the financial statements are materially correct. I'll start off, I believe y'all have a report, correct? On page 2 is the opinion letter. Our responsibility is to express an opinion on these financial statements in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. The district received an unmodified opinion, which is the highest opinion that can be rendered. Page 2 is the start of the management discussion analysis, which gives a brief overview of the audit. Page 12 and 13 is the statement of activities. The ending net position of the governmental activities at the end of the year was negative $98,080,963, a decrease of 6.1 from the prior year. On page 17 has the general fund. The general fund had an ending fund balance of $43,439,446, and that was an increase of $2,012,348 for the year. Total expenditures for the general fund were $121,441,795. And total unassigned fund balance for the general fund, as noted on page 14, was $37,877,914. Page 25 is the start of the notes. Additional detail can be found for the district's capital assets, long-term debt. The district did issue $22,405,000 of unlimited tax refunding bonds during the year. Was to provide resources to refund $22,810,000 of unlimited tax current interest bonds. And that resulted in a decrease of total debt service payments over 7 years and resulted in an economic gain of 1.6 for the year. And finally, as part of our audit, we are required to consider internal controls in accordance with government auditing standards. Page 77 of the report outlines that letter. We are required to communicate if any material weaknesses or significant deficiencies, if we come across anything. We have nothing to report, so that's good news. On page 79, it notes the school's federal grant activity for the year. Total expenditures for the 18-19 fiscal year were $7,937,953. And this year, the district had a single audit on the special education cluster. and we have no findings to report on this program. So good news there. And finally, I'd like to thank Angie, Sylvia, and the rest of the district staff for their help and work during the course of the audit. You know, it's a lot involved to put this together, and because of that, we were able to, you know, give a clean audit report today. And I'll leave it open if there are any questions y'all have.
Thank you so much. Any questions from the board?
Do you have to be named Angela to be a CPA? I was confused. There's two.
I know that y'all are still flipping through as I hear it.
It's pretty big, so yeah.
The only question I had, and sorry, on page 12 and 13,
What was the page number again?
12, actually it's on 13. Our net position starting was 91.9 and our net position ending was 98.0. So we essentially went deeper into debt as far as assets versus liabilities. Is that correct?
Yes, and you can kind of get a better picture of that on the statement of net position, or if, almost like your balance sheet, but we call it a statement of net position for, and that's mainly due, that's not unusual for schools. There was some GASB 75 went into effect last year, which required the post-employment, other post-employment benefits, that liability recorded on the books last year. And before that, it was GASB 68, which was, I think, 3 years ago or 2 years, which the net pension liability had to be put on there. So if you look on page 11, the code is 2540 and 2545. We've got the net pension liability of 44 million and the net other post-employment benefit liability at 51 million. That liability had not previously needed to go on the books, but new accounting standard thought it was useful for users for that to be on there. And so that went into effect. GASB 75, that was the first year last year that was on the books.
It's not an actual liability, but it's potential liability going forward.
Yes. So it's TRS, they have the liability, but the district has to record that portion of that liability on the books. So that's probably the simplest, you know, we could go on.
All right.
In probably more than y'all want to hear on, but
That makes sense.
yeah,
Makes sense.
so.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay. All
On
right.
page 29 of your packet, there's a motion.
Madam President, I move the Board of Trustees review and approve the fiscal audit for the year ending August 31st, 2019.
A second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all your help and explanation in easy terms for us to understand. All right, next on the agenda is our report of our review of our monthly board member participation and involvement in any roundings you might have done, district, community, or government events. Mr. Westbrook?
Thank you very much. I participated in several meetings, hiring a new superintendent, which I'll let the president elaborate on. I did a prize patrol, and I attended the prize patrol with the Education Foundation members of, sorry about this. Lolly Borgfeld, Marion Dolford, Michelle Scarborough, Janine Claus, and Dr. Carla Burkholder were present. I think we had a great time visiting approximately 8 schools, making a lot of racket and a lot of noise and awarding presents. So thank you very much. parade, and there was a TASB meeting in Austin. And I think we had a presentation by Mike Morath, the TEA, and I forwarded that to the president and Dr. Gibson, and it was a great time overall. Thank you.
Well, I also participated in all of the interviews we had for our superintendent candidates, and that was a very interesting process. And as Robert says, we'll let our board president speak for us from that. Also was able to attend a Paschal choir program, and I think Mr. Zurvek does an excellent job with that, and the kids enjoyed it. Happy smiley faces for the holiday show, and it was an entertaining and very interesting selection of songs. One song they did was Hava Nagila, and I know one second grader in particular, when she was singing it, I think she threw in some names of some Israeli prime ministers, but I could be mistaken. I also was fortunate to be able to attend the policy committee meeting. PTSD. I loved every minute of it. I'm still in shock. And also, I think I might be able to attend an event at Green Valley Elementary School at the end of this week, making reindeer food. Looking forward to that. Thank you. That's it.
I got to attend all of the enlightening meetings and interviews and the whole process. And like the others before me, we'll let our president elaborate. I also got to attend the Randolph Metrocom Rotary meeting, and the Wiederstein Elementary School Choir performed, and that was fantastic. They did a great job. They come every year. It's well participated Rotary Club meeting because they know it's coming. Tri-County Chamber had a meeting last week, and I still have a little bit of thrower's elbow from the Cibolo parade and trying to toss candy, and some of it was really light and it didn't throw very well, and it came back at us, and sure. So we threw harder, and that just made my elbow worse. Fault, right? Yeah.
So I think I've averaged 3 wrestling events a week since wrestling season started. I would love to go to some of these other events, but they all conflict with wrestling. I do want to give a shout out to the Steel Girls. They are not only ranked in state. This past weekend, they took first at their tournament. It was a huge tournament. The Clemens boys are also ranked in state, and they also have been placing at the tournaments that they are going to. This weekend on Saturday, we will all be in Bryan for a wrestling tournament. So, and we have another one in January too. I'm excited.
Just a couple things. Attended the Cibolo Holiday Christmas Parade. It's always great to see the students out there performing, and I know Mr. Light for the band. I know it's a little bit of a hassle to get all those kids out there and to participate in the RTC, the same thing, but it's great to see them be a part of that. It's not a parade without the bands. I mean, they kind of jazz things up quite a bit. Attended a meeting last week over at Steel. It was with the Rotary and Sherry Armstrong, who's been a big sponsor, and she does letter jackets for a lot of our programs. And so Rotary is starting up a new club called Interact, and it's an international leadership type program. And as part of that, we had talked about just, the importance of making good grades in school and dual credit and all these other things, but also just trying to have some programs where the kids get involved with leadership and things of that sort. And so just want to give a shout out to her as well. So.
I attended the policy committee with David. It was actually pretty interesting. I enjoy that kind of stuff. I know David's not the greatest enthusiast about that, but that's okay. I am. So we tried to find a CAC meeting the next day, and come to find out it had been canceled, and we didn't get any information. So we were up here by ourselves on Wednesday, like, okay. It was like, just 2 of us. That was interesting. Went to the Clemens game down at the Alamo Dome. Didn't turn the way we wanted to, but they played their hearts out, and Shout out to the Clemens football team. Also, shout out to the girls volleyball team. That's amazing to go as far as they did. And congratulations to Coach of the Year. She really worked hard, and it shows. So I really appreciate all her efforts and in that regard. And let's see, what else was I going to say? I guess that's it. Thanks.
So we've had an eventful, we spent a lot of time together this month with interviews, and three of us went also on a site visit and got to spend some time in Dr. Ely's district, and we're very appreciative of them visiting with us that day. We came back and just a week ago, oh gosh, not even a week ago, last Thursday, named our candidate of choice. And so we'll have another follow-up board meeting for those who may be watching on Tuesday, January 7th, where we will vote for our candidate of choice to be our future superintendent, possibly. I just appreciate the TASB. We had hired them as our company to use during the search process, and they were absolutely wonderful to work with, TASB Search Services. So I speak very highly of them, and it was a great process to go through. Learned a lot. I just know that it just reinforces how wonderful our district is by seeing how many candidates we had apply for the position, which was 68. And the quality of candidates we had, it was a very hard decision just to even narrow, just even to narrow that. And so to our 7, and then from there to narrow to our 3. We appreciate everybody that even applied because it just, again, shows what wonderful employees, students, community that we have, that it was a great process to do. Oh, yes. We also want to thank you, Ms. Seaver. The culinary arts at both schools are phenomenal, and they provided food for 3 nights in a row for us as we were interviewing our final 3 candidates. We were able to share supper with them before we started the interview process, and it was our culinary arts that cooked for those candidates. And so we just cannot say enough about our culinary arts at Still and Clemens. They not only feed us before board meetings, but they went above and beyond during that week that we were interviewing our final 3 candidates. So I just want to thank you, Ms. Seaver, for reminding me of that. I also attended the Cibolo Parade, and this year we did a little something different. We included students on the trailer with us to throw candy as well. So we had Clemens students and Still students, and then a mixture with the Cibolo Creek FFA. So I appreciate all those sponsors that allowed their students to participate and got the word out to them. Kudos to Priscilla as well. She keeps us organized and also reaches out to all of them for us. So I really appreciate that. I think that's about it for this month. It's just been a busy month. We've been here a lot. So, all right. Anybody need a recess?
No. Priscilla and Dee Dee, did you want them to sign some things during the recess so that the auditor can go? So
okay.
is
Yes, we
10
are having.
minutes, 10 minutes enough? But we need Mr. Perkins and Ms. Dreisbeck. Is that right? Or all of the board? Okay, so we're going to take a recess, but nobody
All the
here
officers.
move for just a second.
Okay.
What is it? Who's?
All 3 officers.
Okay, so we need Finley, Dreisbeck, and
Perkins.
Is that
Right.
correct?
All the officers.
Okay,
Got it.
so everybody else
All right,
gets a
so let's
break.
take a 10-minute break. We'll come back at 7:50. We're recessed now.
I don't know.
We're back in session at 7:53. Thank you, Priscilla, for having all those documents, Dee Dee and Priscilla. All right, next item on the agenda are our new business. Our first one is our report for our December 2019 construction update presented by J.D. Mosley.
And good evening, President Dreisbach and Dr. Gibson and members of the board. Do have a short construction report for you this evening. We did add a couple of items, and you'll see those as we talk about it. And so the projects you see there are the high school, Clemens High School addition and renovations, our technology project, and then we went ahead and added those bond savings projects to the report as well that we've kind of talked about in the last several months. First of all, on the Clemens project again, the $72 million project, we're 95% complete on this project. All of the things that we have, I was reading this afternoon in preparation and just kind of looking back through the items that we have done with this campus, and it's really a lot. So the new event center, the new CTE building, completely redoing auxiliary gym into CTE space, renovating the old auditorium space, the new addition to the front of the building, renovation to the ROTC spaces. Just after being a part of it and just looking back through, it's like, wow, we've really accomplished a lot during this project. So what's left to complete? The B-Wing renovation will be open when we come back after the holidays. So our teachers will be moving in shortly, probably later on this week. The staff parking lot, early January. I think we're probably about a week behind where we would like to be on that. So, but it will be in January that we finish up that staff parking lot in the front. Courtyard expansion the same way, looking at completion in January for the courtyard. Overall picture of the campus, just kind of the areas that we have touched. A few pictures. Doesn't look a lot different than you saw it last time, but looking at the B-Wing renovation on the left-hand side, so we're just looking down the hallway. This is actually interesting. The left-hand picture here is the new hallway, so that's actually a new hallway in the B-Wing. The middle picture is the outside of that B-Wing hallway that we put in there, so that will actually help our circulation there. So again, the more pictures or the classrooms. This is again classrooms, computer labs, offices, storage, art rooms, those types of things. Looking outside, so this is our courtyard expansion. You can kind of see the dirt work is in really good shape, getting ready to get concrete out there. Finishing up the stoops, so where the kids come out of the building onto the stairs and getting down to that surface. You can also see the columns that have already been placed for the shade structure that will go up out there. New parking lot. We had pictures already, but we went out early this week and got some pictures of that fine looking asphalt we have out there already. So we were really happy to see some asphalt get poured on Monday. Of course, with temperatures today and tomorrow, we had to cut it off and got to wait for it to warm back up before we can keep going on the asphalt. So that's still moving. You can also see the bottom left, the second half of the ROTC pad has been poured, and then that top right is the new monument sign for the school. Really proud of that. I think that came out really nice. The technology project, $5 million budget there. We're in phase 3. We're 66% complete. So we will finish phase 3 this summer. And then the bond savings projects, again, we've kind of talked about these with the board over the last several months, but just kind of a reminder what we're working on. The HVAC replacement, Green Valley, Malish, and Clemens Kitchen. And so, again, Green Valley and Clemens will be this summer, and then Malish West will be in the fall. The Clemens Beard Gym roof project starting this Friday. Emergency generators at Watts, Waller, Jordan, and Marion Dulford. You'll see that come back to you tonight as a solicitation discussion. And then the Clemens safety netting is in process right now, trying to work on some scheduling pieces with that project. 2013 bond savings projects. We've got one savings project within the 2013 bond, and that's the Dobie Junior High courtyard that we're working on. And that is a project that we expect to be completed before next year as well. And that's our construction report. Take any questions if you have them.
Yeah, JD. So when So when is Clemens construction basically slotted to be completed?
We are hoping that, well, and I would say the main project, Mr. Inman, is slated to be done spring, March area time. With the kind of some of the things that we're adding to it, the kitchen, HVAC, things like that. We're going to have some work still going on in the summer, but it won't be impactful to the campus as what we've been doing. So trying to really wrap up these little smaller loose ends this summer, but all intents and purposes in March timeframe, we should really kind of be able to kind of back off and get out of the way.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, somebody else may have had a different experience, but I just remember when that first began, we looked at that as some major, disruption of the system over there, and these kids are going to have to go through this for the next 3 years, I think it was the overall time frame. And other than that first week or two, I haven't heard any major complaints since then. I may have missed some stuff, but just
No,
I mean, nobody would have thought here we are 3 years later. I mean, we're about y'all are pretty much about ready to wrap this thing up. It looks like, right?
Yes, sir. I agree. I mean, our kids and staff have been, I mean, just very resilient,
Right.
very flexible with all the changes that have gone on, all year long that we making changes. And so, I think it's been a successful project, and I think we're all ready for that March to kind of come and kind of wrap it up. Yep.
That is a true testament to the communication side on both the district across over here, along with the staff at Clemens, the administrative staff, and AGCM, communicating, all three parties working together with the construction team, the design team as well. So being ahead of those things and listening to the challenges and working through those and having open communication meetings every other Monday
Every other Monday.
really played into this for the last 2.5, 3 years. So I just wanted to echo that. It was a testament to that part.
Any other questions, comments? So when will that trailer, I think that's when we'll know it's completely over, when that construction trailer leaves on Elbel.
Yes,
and that.
we're looking at January timeframe as well for
Oh,
the construction
really?
trailers to
Okay.
be out of the parking lot in there.
Wow, we get some more parking back there.
As well as the second half of the parking lot, the visitor parking lot, the horseshoe parking lot, the very front.
Yes.
That's a February timeframe for
Oh, that's
finishing that
good.
one up. So,
Where
so
parent
you'll see the
parking
fences
is.
start to come down in February, and you'll start seeing really a nice
Awesome.
view of the whole campus.
That's great.
Yep.
Oh, they have done, and I'm a I mean, I got a kid there, so I know what it's been like, and that staff has been great. So, thank you. All right, next we have an update on management fees under certain cooperative purchasing contracts, presented by Matt Rivera.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Gibson. This is, as the subject title says, an update only. We've covered this previously in October. However, since that time, we had some more information come into the district. The Texas Education Code requires that school districts do disclose amounts spent on purchasing cooperative fees on an annual basis. This is for transparency purposes. So we've added on page 34 of your agenda, the TASB benefits cooperative fees for that year of 2018, 2019, $151,966.87. That is for the management of enrollment, the enrollment platform, which is PlanSource, which are district used by employees. It's for benefit books, on-site enrollment assistance, and it also covers the cost of FSA, HSA, and COBRA administration. So the grand total changed from $3,447 to $155,413.87. That's the end of the report, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Any questions? Okay, our next item of new business is the discussion of the City of Cibolo and YMCA requests for a district partnership or support in the development of a Miracle League field and an inclusion playground at the Cibolo Sports Complex. Presented by Dr. Edwards and Mr. Rivera.
Just one comment, ma'am. I'm sorry, there may have been a typo. I don't believe we meant to include the City of Cibolo on that title. And our apologies. It's really about us and the YMCA, just for clarification at this point.
Thank you, Matt. President Dreisbeck, Dr. Gibson, members of the board, we originally brought this as a discussion item, which tonight is also another discussion item We originally brought it back in June, and so we're bringing it back after several months of discussion with some of our board members, as well as working. Freddie is in the audience with us, working with the YMCA and one of our strategic partners there. Again, just as a recap, the district received a request for support from the YMCA in partnership with the city of Cibolo for the development of a Miracle League field and inclusion playground. Specifically, the request was for a pledge in the amount of $250,000, either a one-time payment or over a 5-year period. We're at the point now to seek the board's, if the board desires the administration to continue to review the feasibility and also start working up a contract. We have a draft of a contract that the YMCA provided us, but to seek legal counsel on further communication and contractual agreement with the YMCA for that donation. We were able to talk with several of our staff members as well as several other districts, and we provided a one-pager for you as well. Dr. Gibson, has that been passed? Okay. So the first part of that was identifying, again, to ensure that we have, we communicate that we and have identified a bona fide need in order to meet or alleviate the gift of public funds. We provided benefits to just high-level bullet benefits to the SCUCISD Special Education Program. Ms. Ferguson is here to talk about that if there are any questions on that. Some additional benefits to the community. And we are also able to reach out to a couple of different organizations or partnerships in the Houston area with the Langham Creek YMCA and their partnership with the Cy-Fair ISD, and the Lake Houston YMCA and their partnership with Humble ISD, and the same type of partnerships or agreements with these Miracle Type Field and or inclusion playgrounds. And you can see some of the feedback that we received from that as well. So we wanted to bring it back as a discussion item, share some of the research and some of the information that we can pull out, and then seek the board's direction on next steps.
Questions? Comments?
I know we talked about this before. I know Mr. Digalato is here as well, but there's an overall cost to the project, and then we're basically just going to contribute a certain percentage, correct?
Yes.
You know what the overall expected cost is?
Was it 1.3, 1.2?
We're looking at possibly doing $250,000 or $50,000 a year for 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Something
That's
like that.
the board's discretion on if they choose to do that, how they would like to pay that out.
Okay.
So, and there will be an extended yearly agreement or years of agreement that comes with that on, I think with the, Mr. Pruski, if you'll help me with this, I believe it was a 15-year agreement when we did the pool with the YMCA over here, something similar to that 15, 20 years agreement and of proprietary rights, first rights on being able to utilize that facility. We would have first rights of denial for that facility. But we've included some of that in there. Again, just some bullet points on how it would benefit our students and some of the other partnerships. I thought it was really interesting to talk with some of those other partnerships. In Texas specifically, we were provided some other states, but we specifically drilled down on those partnerships in Texas because of school law and all of those things that are associated with that. So
From a financial perspective, Mr. Pruski, would it be better for the district if we were to go forward to do it over a 5-year period of time or a one-time lump sum?
In my professional opinion, with the first year of HB3 still coming through and the follow-up second year to look at, I think it would be my advice to do it in an installment basis. Assign it, hold on, and then do it as an installment 50 per year.
Thank you.
I think what I like about this is that I know with the ALE classes, sometimes they go to Morgan's Wonderland. I think this would be closer for our kids, which takes away the risk of, the buses and stuff like that. I think they'd be closer to home, and I think parents would be closer to be able to join them if they wanted to. So I do think that there is a lot to consider with that within our own community as well.
Well, it looks like, precedent has been set in the state of Texas that certainly other school districts have done this. I do know that our 18-plus program uses the indoor court facilities at our Y for pickleball and for a general exercise. And I think the more benefit we can give to our special needs students to allow them to have some activity areas and not have to travel so far, as Ms. Seaver says, would be something we definitely need to take serious look at.
Anybody else?
What fund is this going to come out of?
I just was thinking. Fund,
What fund is this going to come out of?
just fund balance.
And the example I was given is it could be an assignment, an assigned value out of fund balance, and it would be the 50,000 each year, or we can look to see as if we can offset it each year at the budget at the final budget amendments and settle up to see if we can do it without hitting fund balance. So I think moving forward, my advice, like as Mr. Westbrook asked me, I would say assign it in fund balance, that 250, so that you have that reserved automatically. But then as the years progress, we might be able to find that through various other cleanup areas. I mean, just like you heard in the audit.
Right.
So, and that could be a factor to consider as well. The
Okay.
timing of the payment would be a consideration for the board to make as well.
Right. And I'm not opposed to this, not much thought. I'm not opposed to this at all. I think this could be a great program for the kids in the district who need this support. So I think go forward and see what we can work out, bring it back as a contract, or we'll go forward from there.
Let me ask this. I know in Title IX, we're legally obligated to provide equal services or programs for male and female students, right? Is there something similar when it comes to special needs students and providing facilities for them? Or does this help to show that the district is, in a sense, trying to provide equal facilities for special needs kids?
So, hello. It does help to enhance our ability to provide inclusive services for our kiddos, both inside and outside of school hours. So just as Ms. Server was saying, many of our classrooms take trips to Morgan's Wonderland to access adaptive playground and facilities. It's very costly to travel to Morgan's Wonderland, so they would be able to take many more community-based instruction trips if we had something close to here. So we do our due diligence in providing ADA compliant facilities, within the school district, but this would take it a step beyond. And it also provides opportunities for typically developing peers. They have a buddy mentor program for the Miracle League, so you can have volunteer opportunities for our high school students for that. And that is one thing that the other districts pointed out as well, that it was not only good for their students with special needs, but it benefited all of their students.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
One of the, during the superintendent interviews, one of the applicants said that the district had essentially received a $600,000 payment due to hurricane or something to that effect. Has that already been assigned, or how does that affect? How does that work?
That was due to disaster declaration from Harvey and affected counties across the state. Guadalupe County was named. So we did receive a portion of assistance in there, about $600,000, and that did go into the general operation fund balance, so to speak, part of the additional $2 million that was realized tonight that you heard from the audit.
Thank you.
When we work with the YMCA and they're at our elementary school campuses, do we pay them or do they pay us, or how does that work?
They're actually just renting facilities to run their program, and we
Correct.
consider them a strategic partner,
Right.
so we've got rates that are special.
That's what I'm thinking. So we're just continuing on that strategic partnership.
Well, I mean, yeah, they're a strategic partner. This is a little different because we're entering into a different ILA, so it's a different business deal at the end of the day. But I think it's fair and probably prudent for us to say they are a strategic partner with the district, the YMCA is.
And they've expanded
Absolutely.
their programs beyond that too. I know they work with our students with swim safety and both special needs students as well as at-risk students as, in an inclusive type setting. So, and that's what one of the programs that we talked to mentioned is just, this is that ongoing build relationship and how we support our kids and pulling different community resources together to truly make it a community impact on that.
And the precedent was mentioned earlier, and that's a good thought. I mean, there's a precedent of an auditorium a few hundred feet behind me that was very successful, that when that was first mentioned was kind of a big stretch, and people kind of looked around, but
I mean, our kids are loving it and, not leaving at 4 in the mornings helping.
Anything else? I have a question I already know the answer, but Ms. Ferguson, I bet my question would be our teachers, boots on the ground, would they be excited to get something like this?
I think they would allow me to speak on their behalf and say that they would be absolutely thrilled. I will also share that our parent advisory committee, this is something that they have really wanted. Many of our families have to drive to South San Antonio to access any kind of equal opportunity athletic program.
Okay.
And so this is something parents and teachers, I think, would be very excited about.
Thank you. I know you said it would benefit all students, and I think about our pals, our students, our the PE pals that I think about, that I've heard so many of my daughter's friends say how much they love that class, even those that have graduated years ago when it first started. So I even think about them being able to use it together. So, all right. Thank y'all. Any more questions? All right. Next item.
Are we prepared, or is it okay to bring it back as an action item next month?
Any objection?
That's what I was going to ask. I mean, where are
Yeah.
we in the system of next steps, or so to speak?
Well, if the board's ready, we'll just bring it back as an action item next month.
Right, we need to begin negotiating an agreement outlining who's doing what, when, and what the cost and for how long.
Okay, you have 30 days, is what I'm saying, because we're putting it as an action item
Wow.
next month.
I just want to say
2 weeks ago.
Matt, do you need a little
I was
longer,
gonna say,
Mr. Rivera?
Christmas break is in between the
That's
two.
okay.
So can we anticipate January, but if the break?
Yes.
Yeah, I know that 4 weeks is actually 2 weeks, so I would like us to fire some things off tomorrow and try to get it on some people's desks before the holidays and see how much we can get done.
That sounds
before we
good.
I
get
mean, I know that the people who work for the YMCA, they will be working all holiday, so that side shouldn't be a problem.
I know one more question was, I know for funding, they're going to try to procure most of it to begin. So timeline of it getting completed, because that's what some people are going to want to know once we jump in and all that. What is the timeline on it?
And I'm not sure where we are now. We can ask in the audience, or we can include that in the board update.
Perfect.
Does that work?
Yes, absolutely. And we can even talk about that when the contract comes back. So.
And we'll also, we asked for a rendering last week. There wasn't one available.
Oh, okay.
So, but we should be able to have one before the next board meeting
Perfect.
as well, so you can see something about it.
Thank you, Matt, for getting it done in 2 weeks instead of really 4. Just kidding.
Well, I will, if something outside of our control hits, we'll keep you updated.
Absolutely.
Since it is a holiday season. So I will, Matt. I know I said that so quickly a while ago, but I'll also back you on if we hit some hurdles over the holidays. Okay.
And we do have some initial renderings, which I believe were brought in June, but we can resend those.
Yes.
They were just an initial. I know that one of the other things that the Y communicated is that they would like our input on the final product of that to ensure that, I know we just had some conversations about some things that we noticed that we would like to see in there. And so I believe that's still optional. So we'll give you the current renderings of just kind of a schematic of that, but then we'll have opportunities to work with them to ensure that we have the equipment that will benefit our kids.
Perfect. Thank you, both of y'all. Next discussion item is procurement of goods and services presented by Mr. Rivera.
Pardon me, Madam President, members of the board. This coming month, coming up, we have several items, beginning with technology, most of it technology and a little bit of maintenance. We'll begin with our technology panel replacement project with Dr. Burkholder.
Yes, thank you. This is for the panel project. The procurement method is request for competitive seal proposal. This will provide classroom audio-visual upgrades to complete the classrooms at Clemens, and then Jordan and Wilder. It is a 2016 technology bond project at an estimated cost of $1 million. If there are no questions, I'll go on to the next one. The next technology solicitation is for cloud storage and disaster recovery services. The procurement method is RFP. This is to provide data center storage, server storage, and cloud storage, and disaster recovery services for the district. Similar solicitation was issued in April. However, it did not include cloud storage nor disaster recovery services, and the cost came back higher than anticipated. This is a 2016 bond technology project, and the estimated cost is $350,000. If there are no questions, I'll go on to the next one. Yes.
Are you going to put the cloud storage in district, or are you going to use the service?
It'll be a service. Well, that's what we have included in the RFP as a service.
Are you going, which service are you proposing to use?
We didn't request a specific service.
Okay, so you know, if you're going to use Amazon or.
Most of them do use Amazon Web Service, yes.
Yeah, AWS, yeah.
Mhm.
So do you think that's who you're going to go through, is AWS?
I don't know that it will necessarily be directly through them, but it's likely that the company, whoever responds and is awarded the contract, will go through them.
Okay, okay, thanks.
Yes.
By disaster recovery, we're talking about hacking.
Ransomware, hacking, security breaches. Let's say the whole district was blown away through a tornado and things like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
On that regard, are we going to be ghosting our servers and everything out to the disaster recovery side on a regular basis? Because if you don't,
Yes.
if you don't ghost it, you're not going to be able to recover anything.
Yes, it's going to be ghosted many times throughout every day.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, thanks.
Don't ask what ghosting mean. What are you?
I knew you were going to.
Don't worry, never mind. I'm
Thank
not
you,
going to
Mr.
ask.
Finley. Okay, the next one is for security cameras, and this is also a request for proposal. The purpose of this is to establish contract pricing for interior and exterior security cameras and related equipment. And the first project will be an EPP project to replace security cameras at an elementary school. This is again an EPP project with funds from the general operating fund at an estimated cost of $48,000.
Is that something in the EPP that we already appropriated in the last? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I thought, but I was just making sure.
Yes. Okay, if there's no questions, I'll turn it over to JD.
Okay, thank you. So skipping back up a couple of lines there, this is the generator project that I mentioned during the construction report. Again, it's a 2016 bond savings project to provide emergency power to select areas of the campuses at Watts, Waller, Jordan, and Marion Belford. And it estimated cost of $500,000 to $750,000.
Any questions? Comments? All right, so our board consideration and consensus on those items that are going to be eligible for action under consent.
So I'm going to assume no on the YMCA.
I would pull that out so we
Okay.
can discuss it.
We'll have
And we don't know if it'll be ready next month or
Correct.
February.
So on the other four, does anyone want any of those to not be included in the consent
We're on
agenda?
page 44.
On page 44, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Anybody have objection for those to all be on the full consent? Okay.
Okay, and then on that subject, item B, and thank you, B1E should not be on this month's consent agenda. That was an oversight on our part. A trustee clearly said they wanted that to not be on consent. So we would ask that B1E be pulled and discussed separately. But everything else is ready.
All right, we're on page 45. So we're moving to our consent items.
So I'll move that we approve the consent agenda items with the exception of item B1E, which starts on page 81, which has been pulled.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
And then back to page 81, and Mr. Pivito, you had asked for this item. So
Yeah, I was just because of cost and deployment of band equipment and things like that, just generally cost. Is it replacement? Is it new? And I know I asked a few questions about this when it first came up. Cost, replacement, new, where's it going to be deployed and that sort of thing, Mr. Life. That's basically what I'm looking for.
This round of instruments is going to both high schools and both junior highs, in various, depending on what their needs were. Fairly equal, I would say, dollar amount between those campuses, but it was based on their needs. I sent out, okay, what are your needs? Send them to me in priority order, give me an explanation, knowing that we had the $75,000 from the EPP available this year. And so we prioritize based on that, primarily just making sure that we have an instrument in every kid's hand who wants to be in the program.
This is somewhat due to growth as well.
Almost all due to growth. To
Yeah.
be honest, a couple of the marching instruments are replacements at Clemens. Some very old marching instruments that are no longer usable.
Okay.
But other than that, it's growth.
So any instrument that might be replaced that's still highly usable will be moved down to the intermediate school perhaps, or?
Depending on what it is,
Yeah,
of course,
'cause-
we want good quality instruments in
Right.
all of our kids'
Sure.
hands too. So, that practice, we don't do near as much as what groups did in the past.
Yeah,
Usually,
because that was,
and that was a practice years ago.
because
but-
I know the practice years ago was there would be a budget item on an intermediate school campus for band instruments. Those band instruments never showed up.
Oh, no. No,
So-
we purchase, and in fact, we have started trying to standardize, or we are standardizing, in particular, a lot of the instruments that we buy a lot of, like French horns, baritones, and tubas. And so now we have a standard. This is the tuba we buy for intermediate schools.
Yeah.
And this is the ones we buy for the junior highs. So they're specific for those kids that work well, and they're good quality that we know are going to last. And also by standardizing across the district, in the future, it'll make it easier to shift as enrollment shifts or as we open new campuses. It'll be easier to shift that inventory from campus to campus.
Okay, all right. Thank you, appreciate that.
Any questions? Any further questions? We're on page 81. Is there a motion?
I've got it. I move the Board of Trustees approve the proposals for musical instruments and equipment as per solicitation 20-011S to companies listed below as indicated.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion passes 7-0. All right.
we do have a need for an executive session.
Yes, we are going to move into closed session.
Let me add something. We try to stay abreast of what's going on around here, and some of us are able to attend some events, but there's going to be an event this weekend at Pickerel Park. It's a barbecue competition on Friday and Saturday and a car show on Saturday, if you're interested in that sort of thing. It's from 12 to 8 p.m. at Pickerel Park, and there's a toy drive associated with it. So just want to let you guys know about that and let folks know. Also, before everybody leaves, I want to wish you a happy holiday. Have a great break. Happy New Year. Behave yourself, or not. And we'll see you later. Thank you. Thank you for all what you do. Thank you.
I'm going to adjourn us in a closed session, but board members, there might be some documents, officers that need to be signed. We're good. Okay. All right.
So y'all may be unfamiliar with the room on the other end of the hallway.
The board will now adjourn into closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Section 551-072, authorization to deliver the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. If deliberation in an open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governmental body in negotiations with a third person, as well as Texas Government Code Section 551074, authorization to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee, or to hear a complaint or charge against an officer or an employee. The time is 8:28.
My microphone's still on.
What page are we on?
How do you not know that? Should we not get that?
The board is back in session at 9:15. We are on page 167 of our board packet. Action item is employment of contractual personnel by Ms. Linda Cannon.
Yes, the positions on the employment list as provided in closed session are replacing positions for the 1920 school year, and they're funded for the 1920 general operating budget.
Madam President, I move the Board of Trustees approve the employment list as presented of contractual personnel for the 2019-2020 school year.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, motion passes 7-0. Next item on the agenda is resolution for land acquisition, Kingswood subdivision, approximately 94.066 acres, presented by Matt Rivera.
Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Gibson, the property in question were originally lots subject to tax foreclosure. After no bids were received at a public auction, it was subsequently conveyed by sheriff's deed to the district in trust for the use and benefit of the district and the county of Bear. In order to actually acquire the property, however, for the district, it's necessary to purchase the county's interest consisting of delinquent taxes and fees.
Is there a motion?
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees adopt the resolution approving the purchase of real property totaling 94.066 plus or minus acres located on the north side of Abbott Road, approximately 0.4 of a mile east of FM 1518 in eastern Bear County within the ETJ of the city of St. Hedwig, and authorize the superintendent to execute a real estate sales contract with the sellers to tender the purchase price and other closing costs, and to execute all documents necessary to purchase the property.
A second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All those opposed, the motion passes 7-0. Last item is a review of our board agenda planning calendar and requests for future discussion action items. Mr. Finley.
Yes, a couple of things here. We have a called board meeting on January 7th. Everybody knows to actually finalize the hiring of a new superintendent. I understand there's going to be a reception following that meeting with the community on January 7th. We have a student staff holiday starting December 23rd through January 6th. And also on December 18th, which I think is Friday, right? Oh, tomorrow, I'm sorry, tomorrow. There's an early signing day ceremony for Steele at 12:30 and the same thing at Clemens at 11:45.
Say that again.
There's an early signing day ceremony at Steele for our athletes,
What time?
12:30, and Clemens will have theirs at 11:45. So anybody else got anything else?
And then Wayne, can you, on January the 9th, we had a combined community advisory. Okay, JD, tell them about that because
So we had originally planned the Combined Community Advisory Committee for January 9th. That will be moved to February 13th, so it doesn't conflict with the January 7th board meeting. So February 13th, 6 p.m. CCAC. So no January meeting then at this time.
no, I think that's good, and that there's a strong likelihood that the new superintendent will be here, and that kind of information is really good orienting information, the demographer report and all of that. There is, I mean, I don't mind telling you all that, and we probably, since that's gotten pushed a little bit, I know tomorrow or Friday rather, we're going to share some information with the board president. I believe we've updated some of our numbers, And then we may get that out to the board in the form of an update in January, so they don't see it for the first time at that CCAC meeting, or revised chart, which always has draft on it. And I'm constantly reminded that it's always a draft, because we're
Yes,
always
sir.
updating the numbers.
Yes, sir. When was the board workshop again?
Yeah, thank you.
That's CAC.
Well, no, he's
No.
talking about budget workshop, which
Budget workshop.
that's a great question. So we had it scheduled a few months ago for February the 4th. Thank you.
February 4th.
Oh, a couple of hours probably, Wayne, to get through. I mean, there's a lot of HB3 to unpack, and at least 2. There's some moving parts on HB3 that the board needs to be aware of moving into the budget preparation.
Anything else? Don't scoot out of here.
Yes, as a matter of fact, this weekend.
In college, in Bryan. Don't scoot out of here. We're taking a holiday picture. So, motion granted 9:21.